All right, brain power boost time. You know that article you sent in on 10 everyday habits to make you smarter? Well, I gotta say, I'm pretty curious about this one.
Yeah, it is really fascinating to see how such small changes to our routines can lead to some pretty big cognitive, gains.
Totally. And we've got expert speaker here to help us break it all down. So the article kicks off with something I'm already on board with, reading. It says we should aim for at least 20 minutes a day. But here's the interesting part. It really pushes switching between like fiction and
Oh
nonfiction.
yeah, there's a good reason for that. Think of it like cross-training, but for your brain. Fiction, with all the characters and stories, helps us build empathy, and it can really get those creative juices flowing. And then nonfiction is all about honing those analytical skills.
Makes total sense. I mean, I've always kind of gone back and forth between genres anyway, but I never really considered the specific cognitive benefits.
Right. It's like a buffet for your brain. You get a little bit of everything. And the article even mentions this crazy statistic reading. Just 20 minutes a day exposes you to millions of words every year.
Wow. Okay, you've officially convinced me to make time for reading. All right. Another habit they talk about is curiosity. Sounds basic, but they're really encouraging us to like dig deeper, constantly asking why and how.
It's funny, isn't it? Curiosity is almost like this built-in reward system we have. When we learn something new, our brains actually release dopamine, that feel-good chemical. So the more curious we are, the more we learn, and our brains are literally rewarding us for it.
So it's like our brain is saying, keep those questions coming. We love this stuff, which explains why I get so jazzed when I finally, figure something out that I've been wondering about. Like just recently, I was watching this documentary about ancient Rome, and it sparked this whole deep dive into Roman architecture for me. I was reading books, sketching designs. It was like falling down a rabbit hole.
That's such a great example of how curiosity can really take us on these incredible learning journeys. And speaking of capturing those insights, the article also talks about the importance of writing things down.
Oh man, am I a note taker? Notebooks for everything. But this article suggests going a step further, maybe even starting a journal to really like crystallize my thoughts. What do you think?
Well, from a neurological standpoint, the act of writing actually uses different parts of the brain than just thinking or speaking. When you write something down, you're strengthening those neural pathways and really improving memory retention. It's like taking a thought and making it a permanent fixture.
So it's not just about remembering the facts, it's about making those connections stick. Okay, I'm sold. Brain dump journal starts tonight.
Awesome. Or you can even use a note-taking app if that's, more your thing. The next habit is all about expanding that mental capacity by learning something new.
Oh, this is my favorite. Always signing up for random online courses or trying new hobbies. I even tried to learn to juggle once. Didn't go so well, but it was
hmm
definitely entertaining.
That's the spirit. The point isn't necessarily to master the skill. It's more about challenging yourself and keeping your brain engaged. Novelty and challenge are key for growth. You're basically forcing your brain to create new pathways.
Like mental weightlifting for our brains.
Exactly. There's even research suggesting that learning a new language can help delay cognitive decline.
Wait, really? Learning a new language can keep our brains sharp as we get older.
Yeah.
Okay, learn Spanish is going on the to-do list right now.
It's amazing, isn't it, how adaptable our brains are. And that adaptability is helped even more by another habit in the article, regular exercise.
Gotta admit, sometimes my motivation for exercise is just that quick, mental boost I get from a 10-minute walk. But tell me, what's actually going on in our brains when we exercise? Is it really that big of a deal for our cognitive function?
It really is. First of all, exercise increases blood flow to the brain, which means more oxygen and nutrients.
Hmm.
But it goes deeper than that. It also promotes the growth of new brain cells and boosts production of something called BDNF.
BDNF, I'm not familiar with that one.
Yeah, it stands for brain-derived neurotrophic factor, and it's basically like fertilizer for your brain cells. Helps them grow, connect, thrive. So when you exercise, you're giving your brain this incredible boost.
Makes sense. Starting to see how all these seemingly small habits can really add up to some major cognitive benefits.
It's all about building a lifestyle that really supports brain health. And speaking of support, the next habit is all about who we surround ourselves with.
Oh, you mean that whole you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with idea? I've always been kind of iffy on that, but I can see how our social circles can, rub off on us.
It's not just about who's the smartest person in the room. Social learning is hardwired into us. We naturally pick up knowledge, habits, even ways of thinking from the people around us.
So it's like our social circles become these learning ecosystems. If we're always around people who are curious, learning, challenging themselves, it like becomes contagious.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I always find the most interesting conversations happen when I'm with people who are passionate about, learning and exploring new ideas. It pushes me to think differently.
It's all about being around people who spark your curiosity and make you like excited to learn. Okay, this next one is kind of counterintuitive. Embracing failure.
Right. Sounds odd. But the article argues that failure is a vital part of learning. It even highlights stories of successful people who've talked about their failures and how those setbacks actually led to their biggest successes.
I think we're often so focused on avoiding failure that we forget it's how we actually learn and grow.
It's about shifting from a fear of failure to a growth mindset. It means seeing challenges and setbacks not as, signs that we're not good enough, but as opportunities to learn and get better.
So instead of getting discouraged by mistakes, we can use them as feedback, like valuable info to help us improve.
Exactly. When we embrace failure as part of the process, we become more resilient, which ultimately makes us more successful.
Love that reframing. It's like that saying, every master was once a disaster. Okay, what's next on our brain boosting journey?
It's all about finding some stillness,
Hmm.
practicing mindfulness, or even meditation.
Yeah, mindfulness. I've heard so much about how great it is for focus and like dealing with stress. I've even tried some of those 5-minute guided meditation things on my phone. It's crazy how just a few deep breaths can totally change your mindset. But
Right.
I've always wondered what's actually happening in our brains when we do that? Like, what's going on in there?
Well, mindfulness strengthens the prefrontal cortex, the
Hmm.
part of our brain that handles things like executive function, making decisions, and controlling our attention.
So it's like a workout for the control center of our brain.
The great way to put it, mindfulness helps us stay calm and focused, even when everything around us feels kind of crazy.
You know, it's interesting. It actually ties back to what we were talking about earlier about embracing failure. If we can train our brains to be more, mindful and less reactive, we're better at handling setbacks without getting all like negative and spiraling.
That's so true. Mindfulness helps us build that mental resilience. It's like a buffer between our emotions and how we react.
Okay, moving on to another habit. I definitely struggle with sleep. Total night owl over here. But the article really hammers home how important sleep is for brain health, and I know how foggy my brain feels when I don't get enough.
It's not just about feeling rested, though, right? Sleep is actually when our brain gets super busy, processing all the information from the day and moving those short-term memories into long-term storage.
So it's like hitting save on all the learning we did that day.
Exactly. And each stage of sleep is actually important in that process. Our brains are replaying things, making those connections stronger and building long-term memories.
All right, no more excuses for me. I'm committing to a better sleep schedule, even on weekends. So we've talked about 9 habits so far. What's the final key to a sharper mind?
The last one is all about being open to feedback. Might seem simple, but it's super powerful.
This is a good one. I used to be terrified of feedback. Like, I'd take it so personally. But I've learned to think of it as a way to, get better.
That's a really important shift in perspective. Feedback is like a shortcut to learning, helping us see where we can improve and those blind spots we might miss.
Yeah, it's like having an extra set of eyes to help us see things more clearly. Always got to be looking for ways to improve, right?
Absolutely. And you don't always have to agree with every piece of feedback, of course. But even if you don't, it can still make you think and, refine your own ideas.
Thinking back on these 10 habits, what's striking me is how connected they all are. It's not about picking just one or two. It's like weaving them all together into a lifestyle that truly helps our brain in every way.
That's a great point. It's not about some magic solution. It's about looking at brain health in this holistic way.
Building that brain boosting ecosystem. And it's so cool to know that we have so much control over, how well our brains work. It's not like we're stuck with a certain level of intelligence. We can actually train our brains to be sharper, more creative, and more resilient.
That's right. Neuroplasticity, the brain's power to rewire itself, is a lifelong process. It doesn't end when we're adults. Our brains are always changing based on what we do, what we think, and even our actions.
So it's like we're sculpting our brains with every choice we make.
I know, it's pretty exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
It means we can really shape our own cognitive destinies. Doing things that challenge us, staying curious, and taking care of our mental and physical well-being are all ways to help our brains keep growing.
It's about so much more than just, being smart in the traditional sense. It's about building those critical thinking skills, being able to solve problems, being creative, and having that emotional intelligence, all those things that help us navigate life, right?
Absolutely. It's about becoming well-rounded people, mentally agile and ready to adapt to change, learn from experiences, and contribute to the world in a meaningful way.
And speaking of navigating all the complexities out there, that mindfulness habit we talked about seems like a superpower for staying grounded in this world where we're bombarded with information all the time.
I totally agree. Being able to quiet our minds and just be present in the moment is so valuable in this world full of distractions.
And it's not just about less stress or better focus. Mindfulness also helps us with self-awareness and how we regulate our emotions.
It helps us tune into our own thoughts and feelings, even our physical sensations. With that awareness, we can respond to things more intentionally instead of just, reacting without thinking.
It's like we're building a pause button into our brains. Instead of being swept away by our emotions or all the pressure around us, we can take a moment to, just observe and then choose a better response.
Right. And that ability to respond thoughtfully is really at the heart of emotional intelligence. Understanding our own emotions, managing them, and empathizing with other people.
And those social and emotional skills are just as important for success as our cognitive abilities.
100%. Research actually shows that emotional intelligence is a better predictor of success in life than IQ.
Wow, it all comes back around, doesn't it? Our brains are these amazing networks where all these things, cognitive, emotional, and social, are constantly interacting.
It's a total system, which is why looking at brain health in this way, with all 10 habits, is so powerful.
As we've been talking, I've been thinking about how these habits could be applied to like teams and whole organizations too.
It's interesting. I like that.
Imagine a workplace where everyone embraces curiosity, continuous learning, feedback, and a growth mindset. Think how much it could change team dynamics, boost innovation, and give people a real sense of shared purpose.
Creating that culture of learning and growth
Yeah.
where people feel supported to experiment and take risks and, learn from their mistakes together.
It's so exciting to think about the possibilities. Okay, expert speaker, we've covered a lot, but I want to go back to something you said earlier about neuroplasticity being a lifelong process. It's so great to know that it's never too late to start using these habits.
It's one of the most amazing things we've learned about the brain. They're so much more adaptable and resilient than we thought. It really is never too late to learn new things, grow, and unlock that cognitive potential.
That's a great point to end on. The idea that we have the power to, shape our brains even as we get older is amazing.
It's all about embracing that journey of lifelong learning, always looking for new challenges and experiences.
And it's not about becoming some genius or anything. It's about being the best version of ourselves, whatever that means for each of us. It
Yeah.
really is about embracing that journey, and I think these 10 habits we've talked about today give us a pretty good map to follow.
Yeah, for sure. It's like we've got this whole toolkit for our brain, and now we just got to, use it.
And the coolest part, these tools are for everyone. You don't need like special skills or anything. It's about making those small changes every day that add up to big results over time.
And those changes can be so easy too. Just reading a book, going for a walk, talking to someone who makes you think, or taking a couple minutes to be mindful. Those are all things we can fit in, even when we're busy.
It's about making those little moments really count. I'm thinking this isn't just about like us growing individually. It's about creating this ripple effect.
I love that. When we're using these habits, it's not just helping us, we're inspiring other people too. Our families, friends, the people we work with, even our communities. We're like little sparks of change.
It's like this chain reaction of brain power. Imagine if these 10 habits were so normal, so much a part of our culture that they were just, automatic.
I can totally see that. A world where everybody's curious, learning new things all the time, seeing failure as a chance to grow, and being mindful. Everywhere, from work to school.
That's something to work towards for sure. Even if we don't get there perfectly, just taking those little steps, that's a win, right?
Definitely. It's the journey, not the destination.
Uh-huh.
And it's an amazing journey with so much to learn, unexpected things connecting, and all these possibilities to grow.
So true. And to our listeners out there, what habit are you most excited to try or, make even stronger? What one small step can you take today to really tap into your brain's potential?
Just remember, your brain is incredible. It can do amazing things. By using these 10 habits, you're basically telling your brain, hey, I'm ready to learn, I want to grow, and I'm going to unlock my full potential. That's huge, and it's a big step towards being the best version of yourself.
That's a great way to put it. And that wraps up our deep dive for today. We've covered a lot, but there's always more to discover. So until next time, keep those brains active, stay curious, and look for those moments of awe that make life so interesting.
It's been awesome exploring this with you both.
I had a great time too. And to our listeners, thanks for joining us. We'll see you on the next episode of The Deep Dive.